What's up, Matt? How you been?
What's up, Emil? I've been good, man. I've been good.
So Matt, I've been working with for about 3 months. We've had like 5 or 6 sessions. Been working on a little bit of fry, a little bit of false chord. Today we're gonna be working on false chord. And when I first saw you, you were getting your false chords going a little bit, but you had a lot of true chord engagement. With your lows, you were doing like a low pitched fry scream, like a really like constricted one. You thought
hmm
it was false chord, but it wasn't. You were getting them going a little bit for your mids though. And
hmm
so we worked a lot on separating the false chords, really getting the sensation of using them, kind of changing the pitch, getting in that low pitch, that mid range, and that high pitch positioning. And then one thing that I want to ask you about was the sensation of feeling like they're vibrating faster. Would you agree that as you've been using them over time, they feel like they're actually vibrating faster and producing better tones?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. When I first started getting them going, it felt very slow. Like I would use words like slow, loose, floppy to kind of describe like how the sensation felt. And definitely over time, it's kind of changed into more like say like tighter, like faster, kind of more controlled in a way. Over yeah, the sensation has definitely changed more towards that direction.
And when you first started using them, it felt like clunky, but after what, like 1 to 2 weeks of regularly using them, started to become second nature. Like you can turn them on when you want, you can turn them off when you want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's funny because after like a week or two of starting to like practice it and really get the hang of it, of the positioning and the sensation, it's like they almost start turning on by accident. Like if I sneeze or something, like I got some false chord at the end there. Like when I cough, like it's just easy to just let it be like, you know, like just stuff like that. Even just if I raise my voice, but I like, keep it relaxed, it's like, like it's gonna come. It's just gonna happen
Yeah.
now if I don't try to make it not happen. So yeah.
And then with the true chords, like, do you feel like you can isolate your false chords? And if you choose to add true chord engagement, you have control over that. If you choose to not add any true chords and just isolate your false chords, you can do that.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's there's a pretty clear distinction for me, at least. It was even when I was not great at using the false chords isolated. I felt like I had decent control over putting more or less true chord engagement, from the start. But it's definitely only gotten better.
Okay. And then what have you been working on in terms of like the bulk of your practice for false chord screaming?
Yeah, the practice hasn't been like too structured. A lot of just screaming to songs. Just a big focus for me on trying to get, condition the false chords like we talked about, and trying to get them vibrating faster, along with just making sure I can have them vibrating well in like a variety of different positions. So like whether it's like more open lows or the tighter highs, stuff like that. So that's been the most of my false chord practice.
Okay. Last time we worked on false chord together, I told you to start like blasting your false chords with air. Like 5 minutes each practice session of just pushing because he got to a point where you can use your false chords and isolate them and not accidentally engage your true chords. So typically around that point, once someone's able to completely isolate them, then I will add an exercise where you just max air pressure scream with them as a way to kind of make them vibrate faster. So it's kind of like you go to the gym and you lift weights and you have like a burnout set at the end or a couple burnout sets where you just work your muscle into the ground. Kind of like that with the false chords. If we blast them with max pressure and try to kind of stimulate them with as much force as possible to make those tissue adapt changes occur, then we can get them vibrating faster, quicker. But only for a few minutes because I don't want you to get used to constantly pushing a ton of air when you scream. Like a clear distinction of I'm doing this to condition my false chords, but not like this is how I use my false chords every day. This is just an exercise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, pretty clear. We were pretty clear about that one.
Okay. Do you feel like that's helped?
Yeah, I would say so. I definitely started seeing around the time I started doing it. It was like pretty quickly after. I'd say like a week. I mean, even some even sometimes during the same day, I would feel a difference in the way my false chords were vibrating. Maybe just because I was more warmed up then, or anything like that. But I would say like a week after I started doing it, I started to notice like a real change in, you know, I guess how quickly they were vibrating, like tone, stuff like that. Like I went from there was definitely like a quick period where I went from kind of those like like really loose, floppy, like 90s death metal growls, and it started to sound a little bit closer to like kind of like what deathcore is doing now and stuff like that. And it happened like pretty much right after I started adding in that exercise, so I would say it probably played a part.
Sweet. You want to show everyone your false chord screams, lows, mids, highs?
Yeah, sure. Let's pick like a periphery line, like I'm still bitching all the lows, bitching all the lows. I'm still bitching all the lows, bitching all the lows. I'm still bitching all the lows, bitching all the lows.
Sweet. Your highs have definitely improved. Like you're definitely getting more color and tone in them.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear your false chords vibrating faster. Like even last time I saw you, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was like you're in the positioning, but it still had that dry airiness to them, the gravelly voice. But now it's like starting to sound more like I think of a high pitched false chord scream as like the voice of a demonic serpent, like the that kind of effect. And you're getting that for sure. So you're at a point where like any improvements you're going to get in the way that your false chords sound, most of that is just going to come with time. Continuing to use them, continuing to stimulate them, you will unlock new tones as the tissue adaptations occur. The changes in the tissue, they physically will become able to vibrate faster and produce cooler effects. But in terms of what we can consciously do to make you sound better, there's a few things I want to work on with you today. So I talked to you about the pressure wave technique. This is a way to pronounce your words so that every time you close your mouth to say a consonant sound, you form a seal. So if you're going to say like a P, you can go like a P, P, or a D, 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 D. So you're forming a seal and it builds up some air pressure in your mouth, and you quickly break that seal so the air pressure just bursts out. And this allows your screams to sound more punchy, more powerful, but you're not having to push harder or add any more effort into it. It's just the mechanical movements of your mouth are changing how that air flows out, altering the pressure, and that's what's making it sound more powerful. And this can also improve your endurance too, because if you can just stay more relaxed and not have to push as hard, while still getting a good sound and a lot of power behind it, then you'll be able to scream more words for a longer period of time.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely sounds very appealing for the endurance side because, like, again, I guess as the tissue adaptations have happened, it takes a little bit less air for me to stimulate my false folds, but still don't have the greatest stamina. It's still hard to, longer lines or, holding them out for more than like 6 seconds, it starts to get tough. So it's getting better, but so any way that, anything that's going to help air efficiency, I guess, sounds pretty useful to me.
Yeah, and then another thing is Kagura throat singing is going to help with that too, because you can find the base amount of air, like the lowest air pressure it takes to get your false cords vibrating. And then with that low air pressure, you can work more on how you position them. Because if you can get that like buzzing didgeridoo sound, then that is the optimal positioning. And when you push more air, your false cords are going to be vibrating as fast as they can, producing the best distortion they can with whatever air pressure you're using. So we're going to work on that too. But for the pressure wave technique, I want you to just say a P, like a pa.
Pa, pa,
Pa.
pa, pa, pa,
Good.
pa.
So forming a seal, you feel that air pressure build up, and when you release it, God, there's a fruit fly just fucking all up in my space. So forming the seal,
Yep.
breaking the seal. So let's do Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers, because lots of P's in there, tongue twister, alliteration. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers.
Okay. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers.
Yep.
Okay.
So now try it with your false chords.
Okay. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers.
Good.
Good or no?
You can add a little bit more air pressure. Do it as if you were trying to make it sound the best you can, like getting the most distortion with your false chords.
Okay. Do Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers.
Yep. Try it without the pressure wave technique. What I call the sloppy pronunciation.
Okay. Now that I just thought so hard about how to do it, it might be tough, but
Yeah, it's hard not to do it once you get it.
Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a patch of pickled peppers.
Yeah. So that is what I see, like a lot of like people who are new to false chord screaming, or even people who've been practicing a long time but just haven't really figured out the pressure wave technique, naturally. They pronounce their words like that. Sounds kind of sloppy. You can make it sound so much better just by forming that seal.
Yeah, when you do it like that, everything sounds very
Monotone.
static. It's
Peter picked a batch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a batch of pickled peppers. Versus like, Peter picked a batch of pickled peppers.
Yeah, it's almost like you're introducing like some amount of like rhythmicness to the vocal, or instead of it just being like, like we said, like one straight line. It's like kind of getting chopped up, but in like a pleasant way.
Mm-hmm. And then, with your airflow, though, you can maintain that constant air pressure. You don't have to like huff and puff and push harder to get that punch on each syllable. You can just maintain a constant flow to get your false chords vibrating, and then use your mouth to chop it up.
And I guess that's a good like distinction to make, right? Because it's not P and then like like, right, it's not like cutting it off like here between every time, right? It's like purely mechanical in like the mouth and the tongue and whatever, the teeth, like past, I guess, your false chords, vocal folds, whatever. Right. Okay. Right.
I think about it like I'm generating like a vector of scream. Just like one solid like ray coming out of my mouth.
I think that's
and
useful.
My lips and my tongue and my teeth are kind of weaving it into words.
Right. So
Like
I'm gonna like use that mental image real quick and like try to do it. So like, Peter picked a batch of pickled peppers. Peter picked a batch of pickled peppers, and they're peppery, and Peter picked them.
Let's try Betty bought a batch of bitter butter.
Betty bought a batch of bitter butter. Okay. Betty bought a batch of bitter butter. Betty bought a batch of bitter butter. Betty bought a batch of bitter butter. Betty bought a batch of bitter butter.
Yep. Whoa. Buddy bought a batch of better butter and made better batter. If Buddy bought a batch of better butter, she'd have better batter. So dumb.
It's fun. This is serious stuff, man.
So B's and P's are pretty easy because your lips come together. Also M, like a M, M, M. But you can even do it with other consonant sounds. You just have to get a little creative, like a T or a D, D. Like tip of your tongue touches behind the top teeth.
Now, I guess my first thought when I'm thinking about those kinds of sounds, like duh, duh, like depending on how you place the tongue on your tip on the roof of your mouth when you go to do it, you can do it like where it's like spread and then like you're gonna probably get a better seal, I would guess, as opposed to like if you have like a narrower tongue, there's gonna be like gaps on the side. Do you think about it like that? Like duh, like if I like this,
Yeah.
there's more space on the sides, right?
So it's
and
like-
it's not gonna like seal the same. Like
The sides of my tongue are articulating with the sides of my top teeth.
right.
So I'm not like jamming up in there. I'm not like specifically trying to make my tongue fill that space. I'm just kind of
right, like ta da. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So like not over exaggerated, but also not like
not
you have to do
super-
it enough to get the effect happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then a th sound. The, the,
Da,
the.
Yeah.
The.
Yeah, that kind of feels like it happens. It's getting blocked easily, like naturally, like fully.
Yeah, just be careful not to accidentally bite your tongue while you're screaming. I have a crossbite, and I bite my tongue all the time. It sucks.
I'm sorry, man. It's rough.
So other consonant sounds. So k, like C or K. The seal is formed in the back of your tongue with the back of your soft palate.
Ka, 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 ka. Yeah. Okay.
And then an F.
I mean, that one's very lip heavy, right? So probably like
Lip and teeth.
on the lip and teeth. So, but probably one of the easier ones, I would guess. So pretty much, I would guess most of the lip and teeth ones are going to be like on the easier side, and then everything else might need a little bit of practice.
You got a fruit fly too.
Yeah, man. Anyway, but I'm sure all the other ones are a little less intuitive, but whatever. I'll just gotta practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that involves lips is going to be easier. Any of the ones that more so involve the tongue articulating with the teeth or the roof of your mouth might take some practice. But once you get in the hang of like pronouncing your words this way, it becomes second nature and it becomes like really easy to do. If you practice to a song, listen closely to the pronunciation, because a lot of vocalists who practice for a long time develop this pronunciation style naturally. Maybe they've gone out of their way to like, practice it and it occurred to them to form the seal. But I think a lot of people just kind of figure it out. So if you're practicing a song, go through it line by line and figure out like, where can I form seals? What consonant sounds, is going to be really easy to do. Like if we take a line, is there a song you've been practicing?
Not one in particular, but like the line in my head, I think I said it earlier, like Periphery song. I'm still binging all the lows. So like if I take like I'm still binging all the lows.
La.
So I have to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, L's a hard one.
Yeah, that one seems tough actually. So I'm still binging all the lows. I'm still binging all the lows. It's like
Yeah.
kind of hard when it gets slow, actually.
But
Because it's,
you can't do it on a vowel sound. So like I'm or all, you can't.
yeah, because it's
Because
just you
yeah.
know, yeah, okay. But I'm still binging all the lows. I'm still binging all the lows. I'm still binging all the lows.
I'm still bitching on the lows.
Okay, can you do it again?
I'm still bitching on the lows.
I'm still binging all the lows. I'm still binging all the lows. Yeah, okay, I can kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it come.
So that's self-explanatory. Spend like the next few songs you decide to practice to or try to do covers of or whatever. Go through it line by line. Think in depth about how you're pronouncing the words, and it just kind of comes naturally. But absolutely makes your scream sound better. It's the difference between I'm still bitching on the lows versus I'm still bitching on the lows.
Right.
And the second one was more effortless to me. Like, yeah, I'm having to shape my mouth more, but in terms of my air, I could have gone for another like 5 seconds.
Okay.
Less air is escaping because you're actually kind of blocking the air from leaving and then quickly letting it out and then blocking it again.
Right. So it's like a combination of like you have less leakage happening, so you're like wasting less air, and then also the built up air pressure is, help assisting with the vocalization, so you're using less air there. So it's like kind of like the
Yeah,
two parts there that just result in like much better efficiency is what it sounds like.
exactly.
Cool.
Okay, Kargira. So, have you tried throat singing?
Okay, yeah, I have. So my understanding, I when I hear other people do it, it seems like they find a spot where it's not taking much air, kind of like you said. And I feel like I never really found that spot. I kind of just ended up doing like I guess it would just be like a false chord scream, but with a lot of true chord in it, to where like I could get kind of that like didgeridoo effect where it's like my mouth shape starts to influence the sound a lot, but I couldn't really hold it. I can't really hold it that long.
Yeah.
So I guess if I do what I like think it is or what I would like try to do, it'd be like and now that I'm saying that, I actually feel like it's kind of working, working the way it should, because that didn't feel like it took that much air. But I haven't tried it in. Honestly, I haven't really tried to do it in like a month or so.
So the action that helps you do it in a way that you're not leaking air, is bringing your false chords together. The same muscle that lets you do that brings your true chords together. The way to turn that muscle on is to do the Melissa Cross like open versus closed E exercise. So like the so as I do the tight E, I'm adducting my true chords.
Okay, yeah. See, it feels easiest on the E, so I guess that makes sense. But like, so E,
Mm-hmm.
like just for true. Okay, and so now I guess if I try that with false chord in it, E, that's when I run out of air. Yeah.
I would say practice the E exercise with your true chords for just a little while because the goal with that one is to start to feel the sensation of when you're bringing your true chords together, when you're using muscle tension and getting that constriction in there. So also being able to like make that transition from the open to the closed E slower. So you're like instead of, all or nothing, you're doing it all at once, kind of holding that out. So you're kind of going so I'm really focusing on the range of muscle tension.
Yeah, can I give that a shot?
Yeah.
So like See, okay, right there, I felt like my false chords just started to kick in a little bit. I don't
That's
know if you
okay.
heard it at all, but like it felt like they just I wasn't trying to, but they just started to get involved. It's
Yeah,
like
that happens to me too sometimes.
like that is my false chords,
Yeah.
right?
Um. So with the opening, you're already starting a little bit too tensed up.
Okay. Okay, so yes, I kind of like skipped there. I
Yeah.
feel it like we
Good. So just keep working on that one. Throw it into your warm up routine. After a few weeks, it'll be like you'll really understand that sensation. So
okay.
with Kagira, kind of using that tight E definitely helps to. And then transitioning to other vowel sounds like ooh. Wow.
Okay. So like we
Mm-hmm.
kind of just ended up a scream at the end there, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess I kind of like, especially when I switch from the E to the U, I kind of lose that like optimal position, I think, because that's like I start to feel a pretty big difference in how much air I'm draining.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm holding it a little bit, but still, it feels like I run out like quicker.
So the sound you're trying to go for is that buzzing, that didgeridoo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it wrong. And so it sounds very flappy. Doesn't sound
Mm-hmm.
as smooth versus. And then definitely sounds like not as gravelly. False chords are vibrating faster. You're hearing more of the resonance. Sounds like a jaw harp as well. You know what a jaw harp is? It's like this instrument that like people bite down on, and there's a metal reed, and they like flick it. I think with their finger, but they also use their tongue to like bend it so they can kind of. It lets them like make Russian hard step. It sounds like doing,
Okay.
doing, 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 doing.
Okay.
It's a wild instrument. Um,
Interesting.
anyway, so you can also try closing your mouth and exhaling through your nose and just kind of going like an M.
Okay. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, you're
Is
getting
that
a little
it?
more. Yeah, you're getting a little more buzziness in there.
Yeah, I definitely hear the buzz starting to kick in. Okay, yeah, because I almost felt what I felt was I definitely felt things come closer together, but not all the way. But I don't know. Things got closer together, and as soon as I felt it get closer together, the buzzing was like amplified. So I
Sweet.
guess that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah. Because that buzzing sound is when your false chords are vibrating very quickly and you found that perfect positioning. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can maintain that positioning and then push more air, then you're going to be false chord screaming and producing the best distortion you can for, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, as the tissues adapt and your false cords are physically able to produce cooler tones, then, your throat singing will change a little bit. Your screams will definitely sound different, but it's still the same kind of principle. So if I were to go, so holding out the, you can hear it doesn't take much air. I'm only increasing my air pressure a little bit, and it starts to sound like a false chord scream. So you can find the base amount of distortion. What is the base amount of air pressure? What's the least amount of air pressure that it takes to produce a good sound for your false chord screams? If you can figure that out and kind of stay there, then you'll know like you've found the optimal amount of effort. A lot of people, they'll push too much because it helps make your false chords sound better. You're making them vibrate with more energy. It's going to produce a better distortion. But then they get gassed and they have poor endurance. So using throat singing, finding that positioning, and then increasing your air pressure, figuring out what is the least amount that I need to produce a good distortion, and then just staying at that level when you scream.
So I do have a question. So the way part of the way I guess that we can get the false chords to that optimal position is like bringing the true chords closer together as well, right?
Yes.
So if you want to, does that basically mean that for that optimal position you're always going to need some true chord engagement happening, or is there a way to get that optimal position and then like completely take true chords out of it but keep the false chords in that optimal positioning? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, that's something I've wondered, and just based on the way it feels when I do it, I want to say yes, you can use the false chords without the true chords, because even though it's the same muscle that brings both together, I think that you can learn to like activate different fibers of the muscle more. The specific portion of the muscle that acts more on the false chords. I feel like you can contract that part more than the portion of that muscle that acts on the true chords. It's called the transverse arytenoid muscle. Connects from one arytenoid cartilage to the other, and it brings them together, and that in turn brings your true chords together, and it brings your false chords together. Because I can do it with a lot of true chord engagement. A lot of true chords in there. And I can do it with a very little.
And I'm going to assume the second version takes more air than the first, but not as much as when you're like not in the optimal position. Would you agree with that?
It feels about the same, but it might take just a tiny bit more air when I'm not engaging my true chords because, the true chords come together more and they can prevent that air leakage. But I also think there's other places higher up that you can narrow to also slow down the flow of air. So, I don't feel like it just has to be at the level of the larynx and the vocal structures to control your airflow. But yeah, that is one thing I've always wondered. And it'd be really cool if I could find a freaking ENT or a laryngologist who would just put a camera down my throat. But I've cold called every clinic in Jacksonville, and everyone's been like, yeah, no, we don't want to do
not?
that. I'll self-pay. Like, I'll pay out of pocket. Like, I will, like, you can put me as your last patient of the day so you don't have anyone in the waiting room. Just for the love of God, put a camera down my throat and let me scream. But I can't find anyone, so.
Guess you're stuck using other people's laryngoscopies.
Yeah, but there's some things like Brandon Kennedy has like the best one because Will Ramos, I feel like with he's doing things that are very different, and he doesn't fully know what he's doing. Like Brandon Kennedy, he knows when he's fry screaming, he knows when he's false chord screaming, he knows when he's doing them at the same time. He had a section on there of him doing tunnel throat, changing positionings, and really just getting like a more encompassed, video versus Will Ramos was just kind of doing the techniques he knows how to do, and he's doing things very differently than the way a lot of people do it. And he's also like you couldn't really see what his true chords were doing because even in the video, the SLP that was like, she specifically said like, wow, Will, you have a lot of tension in the upper part of your larynx and throat, because like everything above his false chords was also just getting really tight and obscuring the view. So I use Brandon Kennedy's to illustrate a lot of things, but he still didn't do everything. Like the arytenoid cartilage, like I still haven't found a video of somebody. I'm sure there's like ones of people doing the jazz growl, which involves the arytenoids, but not doing it like fully isolating them. So that'd be super cool to see. And also just to confirm, like, this is definitely the arytenoid cartilage, not the false chords.
Right. What do you think about kind of tangential, but like out of the laryngoscopies you've seen, have you seen any evidence for like I guess where I'm going with this is like some people will say, I've heard some people say like even when you're doing a fry scream, your false chords are usually getting involved for a lot of like the typical fry scream sounds. I've heard a lot of people say this. Have you seen any like evidence of that in like what you've looked at?
I mean, well, yeah, on Will Ramos, as he was involving his false chords too, definitely with his fry screams in some of the parts. Even in Brandon Kennedy's, there's parts where, he's false chord screaming. I can't remember if he did a hybrid on there. I think he did, but when I fry scream, it's hard to turn my false chords off. Like I practiced false chord for 2 years before I even learned how to fry scream. So my body, and like you said, it's hard to turn them off once you get them going.
Yeah.
So I feel like some people out there are just more in tune with their false chords, and other people are just like much more in tune with doing fry screams. So for me, whenever I fry scream, if I don't want to turn my false chords on, I have to focus on keeping them off. But I think there's definitely people out there that still do purely isolated fry screams.
Okay.
But I think that the ability to do both techniques independently, if that's what you want to do, and put them together and do hybrids, if that's also what you want to do, like getting full control over both techniques is like the best skill in general. Like
that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Like, why not be able to do everything, right? Like just might as well be the best you can, right?
This is an anime. I want to be the very best. Pokemon.
Yeah, this is where we cue some sick opening song. Makes you want to run around.
So let's just do another few minutes of throat singing.
Okay.
Just so you can practice a little more, and then I want to see what happens when you increase your air pressure.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll just do the. Which I think that's what I was doing. I'll start with like the closed one. The. Oh, wait, that was kind of weird. Is that okay? When I was doing that just there, I felt something different, and I don't know. It felt like more gurgly. Yeah, was that my arytenoid?
Well, that's mine. Do it again. No, I think that's still your false chords.
Okay, just felt a little weird then. I guess just the way it was resonating.
You're kind of in a chin tuck when you're doing it. You're just doing more of a low pitched. little too tight. Here.
Okay.
I mean, you're getting the hang of it.
Okay.
I don't think you're
Think
ready
that's
to
good.
try to increase the air pressure. I want you to be able to kind of get that down a lot better.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't feel like I got it the way I did like on that one try earlier. Didn't feel like it like really settled in the right way.
but once again, just like when you first started learning to use your false chords, if you practice this, it's going to feel like a night and day difference within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Not even kidding. It's just do it and your brain is going to make it happen.
All right. Can you give me an example starting from the E for the throat singing?
Oh,
Do it again real quick.
like a E, like that.
Yeah, whatever you did, the way you did it before, you showed me the M start. I forgot exactly what you did.
So I like to do it. I have a few ways I like to start it. Sometimes M, but through my nose, or an M through my mouth. Ma, ma, ma.
It sounds like like an engine, like a motor, dude. It's like
Mo, ma, 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 ma. Mo. You can also practice like changing the pitch. Ooh. Ooh. So that's what you were doing earlier.
okay. That's still pure false chord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and I should aim for like the least amount of air pressure I need to get it going, right?
Yeah.
For right now.
Mhm.
Okay. If I not quite.
Try more of a like a taller throat positioning, like the ma.
Oh yeah, that's doing it. Yeah,
True chords are
it's helping, but yeah.
yeah. But you'll wake up tomorrow, it'll be like 5% easier.
Okay.
It's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we've been yeah. I've been practiced earlier today too, so maybe I think I just have a little fatigue now as well. Just
Yeah.
kind of sitting in, feel like a little scratchy, a little itchy. Not bad, but
Well, we can end here.
yeah, I think I got plenty to work on. So I guess we can call it there.
All right. Well, good work today. Appreciate you letting me record this for everyone on YouTube to watch.
Of course, man. Of course. I hope it's helpful. Obviously, thank you for the lesson. I mean, I'm so stoked at this point already. Like, I know I still suck, but I feel great pride in the progress that I've had so far, where it was like, literally, I was just like, I can't even get my false chords going. And now it's like, if you put me back in like 2004, like I'd be doing like, I'd be at the standard. Yeah, I'd be doing what everybody else is doing. I could have put out a record. So you know, we
No,
just got to get to 2024.
give it like another few months, and I think you'll be like pretty good. Like maybe not doing things, that like Ben Durer of Shadow of Intent or like Kyle from Brand of Sacrifice are doing, but still good enough for other people to be like, wow, that guy can scream. Yeah, nice.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. Trying to get there. But obviously, you're speeding up the process quite a bit for me. So
Sweet.
obviously, look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you again.
Awesome. Well, take it easy. Keep in touch. Send me updates.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.